Hello! I'm so excited to start our art project today. So at the beginning of this lesson, you listen to Snowman at Night, and this book does a great example of showing value in the snowman's head and body. So I wanted to go over this page one more time. Thinking about value, we learned that value is a way oopsies, to make 2D objects kind of look 3D. So value is the lightness or darkness of a color. So if we have the color blue, right, the darkest shade of blue is when we add black, and then it can go lighter by adding white, which would be a tint. So on our snowman today that we are going to draw, we are going to be using value. So if you have the colors, white, even though we have a white paper, that's okay. Blue, cerulean, indigo, and if you have yellow, those would be very helpful. So let me find my indigo and my yellow. You can even maybe, if you have dandelion or a regular yellow, that would be nice too, but that's okay if you don't. There it is. So I have all my colors together. So I have my blues, yellows, and white. All right, and I just got them out of the regular 24 pack of crayons. But if you don't have that, just blue would be fine today, and yellow. That would be okay. So looking at this picture, we have our moon. Our moon is our light source. So that's where the light is coming from. So on our snowman, we have a highlight, right? The highlight is the strongest point of light. This is where the light source hits the sphere. So the sphere, right, is a 3D circle, sphere. Then we also have a shadow. That's a darker tone, and that's where the sphere is kind of turning its back on the light source. So right over here, right, the light source isn't seeing that, but it is seeing the back of the snowman, and that would be the highlight. And then also we want to think about this cast shadow. So on our snow people over here, we have these cast shadows, and that's the darkest shade found under your drawing, right? It is the opposite of your light source. So here's a really light, and then here's the dark, right, for a shadow. So we're going to do that today. Let me show you a quick example. All right, since we're using white paper, normally maybe if we were in art together, we would have a blue construction paper, and we would probably use oil pastels, but since we're using white, I'm just going to use kind of a yellow as our brightest white, and then we're going to also be using the blues today. So I'm going to put that aside. I have my white paper, and I have my paper in portrait style. Portrait, so up and down, up and down. These crayons want to run away. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do today is draw our snowman's body. So I'm going to use a big circle at the top for my head. All right, to show overlap, I'm going to go underneath the circle on the side and draw another circle, and this one's going to be bigger. And then I'm going to draw one more. So I'm going to start on the side right here. Oh yeah. All right, I'm going to draw just the ground behind so my snowman's not floating. It doesn't have to be a perfect straight line. Curve this up a little more. Beautiful. Okay. So decide where you want your light source to be. So I'm going to have my moon over here. So that means this side, the right side of my snowman's body, is going to be the lightest. That's going to be the highlight. And that means we would drop a cast shadow over here. Okay? So the first thing I want you to do is, if you have indigo, use indigo. If you do not have indigo, and you can always pause the video to find indigo, if you do not have indigo, you could just use regular blue right now. So knowing that this is away from our light source, I'm going to use indigo to trace and go over this line, but I'm only doing it on the left side. Okay, I'm going to go right here. And I'm just going to curve it out just a little bit, not a lot. Alright, my left side over here. So this is going to be my darkest color. I'm just going to go back around just to make it a little more bold, a little thicker in my lines. Okay. I'm also going to use this indigo to draw some of my cast shadow right here. I'm not pressing too hard, just a little bit. And I'm going to stop right there because I'm going to blend that with blue. Alright, so if you were just using blue, this would have been the hardest you push down. So you're pushing down hard, so that's dark. If you are now going to use blue like me, I'm going to go next to that indigo and just draw another type of line. And I'm going to have them touch so they're overlapping. And I'm just going to follow this line that I already made with my indigo, making it a little bit bolder, a little thicker. Okay. Once again, I'm going to add some of this blue to my cast shadow. I'm going right on top of that indigo, actually. All over. I'm going right on top of that, so it gets a little darker and it looks beautiful the way it's blending together. Indigo has a little bit of purple in it, so I'm trying to just make it a little more blue. Okay. So, the next step, I'm going to still use my blue, and I'm just going to hold my crayon and put it on the paper, and I'm going to apply less pressure, meaning I'm not going to push down that hard. So I'm drawing really light. I'm going to go around that line again, but I'm doing it lighter. Going out a little more, doing it lighter. And we're starting to see how our circles are turning into spheres, right? I'm going to make this go out a little more. So I'm pushing a little bit harder right now because I'm blending that light to the dark. Because I'm going to do the light one more time. So right now I'm just kind of blending. Alright, I'm going to push a little lighter to finish my shadow. Alright, so now I'm going to push even lighter. I'm going to go out a little more. Oh yeah, that's looking nice. So I'm just kind of holding my crayon really light and following that curve that I made before. Beautiful. Okay, the next step is I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow to my moon and a little bit of yellow on this side for my highlight. So just around kind of the edge of my moon, I'm adding some yellow, color in lightly. Alright, now on this side of my snowman, I'm going to add some yellow. This just shows the highlight. So since we're using white on white, that's why I'm suggesting yellow. Normally we'd probably use like a white oil pastel for this part, but that's okay. I'm going to push a little lighter and go out a little bit, just like we did on the left side, but with blue. So now I'm just kind of lightly coloring just to make that highlight. That way we know. Now I don't really want to blend on top of that blue because it'll turn a little green. Yellow and blue make green. So I'm going to go out a little more. Beautiful. So that's kind of my highlight, right? Now with my white crayon, I know you might not really see it, but I'm just going to go on top of those. Just so it's there. Maybe later it'll notice more when the whole paper's colored. Even add a little white to my cast shadow. Okay, now I'm going to take my cerulean, if you have that, or you could use your regular blue, and I'm just going to color a little bit more, just so it's not completely white in some areas. So I'm just going to color a little bit more, very lightly, very lightly. It's like I'm barely even coloring. And it doesn't really show up as dark because I've colored that white before. So that white crayon was a good idea. Okay. Beautiful. Alright, so now we have our snowman and it has value. I'm very excited to see yours. Come on. Art on.